to the Ultimate Homeschool Community Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Hernandez, and today we have a very special guest with us from our new book that's going to be released very soon. That's Education Unleashed, and one of our authors is joining us. We have Lauren here to share about her journey. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I am more than happy to be here over the moon to be on the podcast today. Familiarize the audience with me. My name is Lauren Wood. I am the founding director and owner of Elevated Purpose Learning Community in Orlando, Florida. And I am psyched about our openings here in August, along with the launch of the awesomely amazing book, Education Unleashed.
Yeah, we are so looking forward to seeing your doors open. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your journey into opening those doors, because in the book, you talk a lot about the whole process of actually getting this thing started, because it's not easy. And I think a lot of founders, or want to be founders, think, oh, it's no problem, I'll quit my job and I'll start this school. And then they start it and then they find out, like, oh my goodness, there's all these hoops I have to jump through. In your chapter, you really share a lot about that. If you don't mind, like, just giving a brief little snippet of, where you came from and what you had to go through to get to where you're at now.
Well, I would like to share to founders, please do not go quitting your job until you have a plan. If you're not joining in with a Microsoft network and you're going at this on your own, you have to know what you're doing. Just on the academic front, that's with all of the permits you have to do with wherever you're going to be, just deciding what kind of structure you're going to have. Are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be a nonprofit? And how does that choice then impact everything that you want to do, from that point moving forward? So while it sounds like a fantastic idea in theory, and it is, as if I love this journey, you really have to have a plan. That being said, for me, education since 2005. Wow. Teacher, I've been an administrator in K through 12. In nonprofits, even at an art museum. So I've been in a lot of different education and education adjacent units. Turning though to that's the 2021-2022 school year. I loved the school where I was. This was down in South Florida. Loved campus. I felt that it's time to exit the classroom. I love my kids, love my coworkers, but I know that it's time to move on and do something else. So decided to position, get my family for it that next school year, and then boom. That really was this micro schooling journey. And in my chapter, we further into that as to how that process continued from there.
We hear so much about all the ins and outs of what's going on with traditional education. And I think a lot of people don't even realize about the budget cuts being a thing. Focused on, oh, well, they're going virtual, or they're doing this, or they're seeing the cracks in the education itself. But on the administrative side, there's so much more to be said about what's going on from the top down. And these are things that are coming to a town near you, because unfortunately, COVID opened up the door to, oh, we can do things like this and we don't need all of these, individuals. It's possible for us to do things differently, and not always differently in a good way, which is why the microschool movement is growing so much, because we're seeing, oh, there is another way that we can do things the right way and make it a better impact for the students. Can you hear a little bit about your school and really, what your goal is for those students? Because I know you have a very specific way that you want to do things, and that is for the students' benefit.
Absolutely. Please circling back though to what you're mentioning about the impact on the administrative front. It's a big circle. The for these budgets and the reason for the administrative strain is because the teachers and the students are leaving. So they're leaving because they're not getting what it is that they need.
Mhm.
Us at Elevator Office, we're going to make sure that not only are our students getting the resources that they need and their families, but also making sure that the teachers as well have that creative license that they've been looking for. Going through my hiring process, I'm fully staffed now, yay. I was going through my hiring process. It was easy for me to find those who really, really understood what we're trying to do. They gravitated and they got it immediately. Speaking to that, what we're looking to do, be really relevant so that each student sees themselves in what we're doing. Sure that every child feels seen and feels heard. Doing that, we'll be implementing play-based learning and project-based learning across K through 8 in multi-grade classes. So when most people hear play-based learning, they're thinking early elementary, we're going to play with manipulatives, but it can also be applied to the upper grades. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. And the opposite side of that, with project-based learning, most people think of older students, but we're going to show that our littles can also thrive in well.
Project-based learning is taking over, I would say, in terms of the benefits and also just how the classroom or the environment functions, including more of the age learners in a way that they don't have to feel like they're in, a hierarchy, because the groups and the way that you do teams and the way that you work in projects really helps all students increase their learning potential, as many, I would say, because they're learning to work together. Now, I will say, yes, play-based learning has been known for early education. Can you share, I know you don't share like too much of this. This is like an extra bonus for how you're doing some of that and how you plan to incorporate that in your upper elementary, in your upper grades, because that is something that I think more people, more parents anyways, are looking into. They just don't know how that would benefit their child, maybe.
Actually, was one of the interview questions that I asked for my 6 to 8 teacher. So I wanted to make sure that they clearly understand what we're trying to do, or at least had some idea how they would put things into practice. And gave to me that his first thoughts were in actual plays or dramatic play, be able to utilize hands-on games versus the gamified approach of go onto a computer. And those were things that I was in absolute love with. We really do need to go back to basics in that way, making sure that we are implementing those hands-on activities across all grade levels. There's too much attention that's being paid to the online approach of eyes on the screen, for hours and hours out of the day. So, in that the place learning, it's all about hands on in real time.
I like the twist on actually doing physical plays and bringing back visual arts, and it's amazing how, all those different ideas from folks into the classroom and adding it to your maths and your core subjects really bring them those subjects that students don't really like so much. And then it's like, okay, well, how can we make this fun? How can we make this interactive? Are they going to make a board game for themselves to get this math project done? Or, with this history, are we going to make a play about, King Henry, so they can learn have actually felt like to be in that time period? It's like all these different things. And it's really the enrichment of bringing them all together. So I love that you're able to create what you need for your students. And really, the goal of having all these alternative learning spaces is to say, okay, these students are better doing this kind of, work, versus that school over there is doing a totally different kind of work. And so parents have the choice to say, okay, what does my child actually need? How can I really help them? parent too. Like, you're not just coming at this as just an educator. You have your own children. You're trying to get them what they need as well. Say for a parent that might be looking or interested in finding an alternative to the traditional school system, what would you say are some of the questions that they should be asking when going to these facilities? Because not every facility is the same.
Coming right off the cusp of me having a parent conversation yesterday, which was fantastic. She asked some amazing questions. What I'll say first is that parents need to look internally first and ask some questions prior to even approaching space for their child to learn. They need to really understand what their child's strengths and areas of improvement are. That way, when they go to potential schools or in potential learning environments, they know what to look for. So if my child, for example, this is definitely not her, she's actually the opposite, but if there's a child who with reading struggles with language, that's huge. Is phonics? Is it vocabulary? Is it phonetics? Is it comprehension? There's a breakdown in the system somewhere, but exactly is the issue, so that to go into those environments, they know, okay, my child has issues with vocabulary. I'm not quite sure if their issue is that they just don't understand the word, or if in terms of meaning, or if they're not understanding the word in terms of CT spells it, and there's a meaning that's associated with those letters. So, parent who has if there's issues with reading, they should be looking for a school that has a strong back in reading. That if there is a student who absolutely thrives in an individual work capacity and really shuns away from groups, and they probably shouldn't be in multi-grade classes because with a small class size, they're most definitely going to be in a small group environment. So just wrap that up to say that definitely making sure that you know what your child needs before you even approach a school.
There are assessments you can find online. Our homeschooling community uses the MAP. It's MAP. There's two different tests that you can go look up if you want to know, oh, where is my child struggling in this? And that can also help the schools that you go to figure out what they need to work with your child on the most. But he has like a starting point. I know there's a lot of negativity towards testing, and maybe that's the next thing that we can tackle, because
Mhm.
we're not saying that testing is bad, but saying that like state testing is good. Share a little bit about that, because project-based learning doesn't really assess the same way that, a filling test is going to assess your child and their.
Sure. So definitely comes down to quality over quantity. And I'm thinking that, for me as an educator and parent with both hats on, that it's more so about the constant testing of it being, oh, just a test in general. For some people, there is test anxiety, and that plays a role as well. But for families, it's the focus on the excessive testing that's the actual issue. So for us, utilizing testing in order to establish baseline at the beginning of the year. That way, teachers are able to have informed instruction. But that definitely is not the focus of what we do. Making informed decisions. It's not to judge students. It's not to put students on blast, what their performance is, but definitely to inform that instruction, and also to inform parents of where students are. The extensive in terms of the data, the better. That way we're able to really hone in on, okay, this really is, the root to, or Bobby really is shining over here, but really needs some assistance in this specific area.
And that is the difference between the micro school and the down approach from traditional school, is that individual school can decide what kind of testing they're going to do, what it really is going to entail, and how
Sure.
often, how much they need it, if they need it, when they need it. And that way it's not, like you said, overwhelming or becomes, some kind of anxiety. Of micro schools are also offering for neurodivergent students, which we are seeing a tremendous influx, which I have my own ideas about why. I think that the one specific reason for why we're seeing that influx, like, oh, well, we weren't aware of it before and now it just automatically popped up. No, there always have been, and they weren't designated. They didn't have like, oh, they regulate it. No, there's obviously more than that, but that's not the point of our topic today. But I do know that a lot of parents who have these types of students are looking for alternatives. And because they are not getting what their needs are in the classroom, even in the private schools, they can't really them like they need to. What have you seen, especially being in the school, being in the administration, and now coming out and doing your own school? What have you seen to be like the biggest difference for who are wanting to maybe jump ship?
It's an awesome question. So in my area of education, I am seeing a lot of parents who are homeschooling. That's, what they want to do. They're looking for co-ops for socialization, but they want to be in charge of their child or their children's in terms of academics. Over the course of this past school year, that there are a lot of parents who start off that way and then they find out they don't or can't do it on their own. Is where the micro schools are starting to come in to kind of fill that void in that way. A lot of parents who have neurodivergent children looking for alternative spaces. And in my geo area, I am seeing those that are either established or are popping up new. So needs, thankfully, here are being met. But as more people are moving to this area, I see that the need is still continuing to grow. So there are and other alternative spaces that this group of students, but may not specialize in it. So I think that it's really helpful to be open to allowing ABAs and therapists and other specialists to come into the space to further assist those students. That way, those maybe full specialize in neurodivergent students will pick up the slack, those who are geared towards general population.
I'm glad you mentioned about other therapy providers. And I know there's a big controversy going on right now with ABA and the direction of the therapy in general. I feel like there is still some great ways that it can be helpful if you have the right therapist with the right mindset. This is like one of those things where, yeah, the parent doesn't have to be the main facilitator, the main provider. And that's why, seeing a shift in education to do smaller class sizes, to have co-ops, to have enrichments. And now the micro schools in this movement are doing the same. They're not all opening a 5-day program. They're not all opening a one or just a tutoring. There is such a mix that you really have so much opportunity and so many options parent to find what fits your family the best. And the best way, like what you're in, is to find a network or find a group that has an option. Opportunity really says like, oh, okay, I know that maybe our school isn't the best for you, but I know, Susie download and she would be perfect for what you're. Can you share a little bit about why you chose to go with big network provider to start your school? Because I know a lot that try to go it on their own, which it is possible. Like we said, you need a plan. Sometimes can help into the movement easier if you have some help along the way.
Chapter, I did start off in this journey as of a fellowship program with Little Network. A lot through that experience, even though ultimately it didn't pan out in opening a micro school with that particular network. So much along in terms of how I would do things on my own, and exactly what I'm doing. That being a part of a micro school network is essential in terms of having some degree of structure to work within. That either follow things by the book, as you know the structure is already laid out, or depending on the network, you may be able to have some leeway and then take and pull from whatever it is you want to use, which is what I'm doing. And freedom within the structure, that's what's helping me to establish what I'm growing here. Even to marketing materials, to bounce ideas off of that are using that same program. Pick up an idea here or there that maybe you didn't think of, and then take that out into the general micro school space, and then be able to build ideas there as well. So yeah, I absolutely love being a part of a network in this first year launch. Don't think I could do it without it.
Yeah, I'm it for people to hear that, because I feel like so many are, oh, I can just manage this on my own and I'll be fine, and I want to save money. And it's like, yes, but there's so much more to planning and getting it up and running. I mean, and you're dealing with children, so there's a lot of legal, a lot of registration, like there's so many regulations that you've got to manage, and having a facility and everything. And it's not that it's impossible, but not easy. So that, you have to read the book, right? Because in your chapter, you share so many heartwarming elements of your story, and just how you've become what you've become and how you've gotten there, that I really encourage everyone to go out and read Lauren's chapter, because it's a great chapter. I loved it. It gave a really true sense of what it's like to jump through the hoops and get started. Because let's face it, we don't do this because we think we're going to go out and make $1 million. Like, that would be great if we cover our expenses, right? The goal is to be sustainable and to keep it up and running. But we do this because we have the heart for education. We have the heart for our future. We have the heart for our kids and for their future. And we want to see the world be a better place, and we want to impact it. And so you really share about that in your chapter. Any like last minute words of wisdom that you would say to the founders, to the teachers that are, maybe think about going in this direction? Because really, decision that you've got to have a strong reason why you want to do it.
Well, in my opinion, I think that even if there's an inkling of I need to do something different, you have to trust your gut. Not exactly what that is, but feeling that urge to move, you definitely need to make that move. In position where I was a little bit too long, and then ended up regretting not moving forward a little sooner. And since then, as soon as I get that instinct, I'm kind of looking around and trying to figure out, okay, what is the next move that I need to make? Being said, I encourage potential founders, make sure that you're having a real self assessment in terms of what your strengths and weaknesses are, and do not try to put everything on your shoulders.
Yes.
Right now, I mean, I'm in crunch time for these next, 4 to 6 weeks of getting, get everything up and moving. Not drive yourself insane, you're probably going to need some kind of assistance, whether that is from a volunteer or a paid staff member or techie. Make sure that you're, delegate tasks so that everything is not on you. Day you can't run a school if you're in a hospital bed because you've run yourself ragged.
Yes.
Things that I would definitely like to, share realness of being a micro school founder.
I concur 100%. Where we, I have launch challenges that I'm doing, so that way these founders can get started thinking about it, seeing if it's something that they want to do, figuring out if they want to go down the path. Because yeah, it's big decisions. Run ragged. There's so much burnout that can happen, but that's the goal here. The goal is to make the best choice for you and your family, and getting them the education that they need and the help that you want to give to them is only possible with a community and having a village. And so I'm so glad that you were able to share with us all today, been able to open up your school. Can't wait for it to get started. And what is the best place for parents if they want to find more about your program or just more about you in general? Where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Are on socials. On Facebook, we are Elevated Purpose Learning Community. On Instagram, we are at Elevated LC, which stands for Learning Community, or just out at our website, which is www.elevatedpurposelearningcommunity.com.
Well, Lauren, it's been such a pleasure having you on, and I really appreciate you sharing in the book as well as on our podcast here with all of our listeners that, we can learn so much and glean so much from all the things that you've shared. It's been so fun, everyone. Happy homeschooling.
Much.
Thanks so much for joining me on the Ultimate Homeschool Community Podcast. Before you go, though, don't miss out. Check those show notes down below so you can get those exclusive freebies and helpful resources and some practical tips that we've been sharing to support your homeschool journey. If you found value in today's episode, which I'm sure you have, please, please, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, share it with another parent who needs it. The more reviews and comments that we get, the more parents we can reach with the support they need. And so your next step towards confident homeschooling is literally just a click away. Just check below. So just check out those notes and we'll see you next time.